Thank you guys for coming out today. So my name is Ben Champion. I work with Transparent Labs. We've been working with Paul for over 4 years, and it's been just such a cool partnership because of the synergy that we have. A lot of what Paul stands for, we stand for. We care about peak performance and putting what's best in your body, and Paul doesn't compromise, and so that's why it's been a really cool fit. A little bit of an intro for Paul. Paul, you're 52, in incredible shape, which is what inspires so many people, why people follow him. You're also a dad of 5, which is incredible.
I am.
A business owner, a previous world-ranked athlete. We can talk about that today.
Mm-hmm.
And also just even a motivational speaker in your own right with your platforms, millions of followers. And so today we were going to do a Q&A, just ask him some questions about fitness, nutrition. We'll have an opportunity to get some questions from the crowd and also some questions that have been submitted. But anything you want to kick off, Paul? Anything you want to say to start?
I'm just really happy to be here. I'm glad we get some people to come out and get a good talk in, answer a few questions. I know I get a lot of questions on a daily basis, and now's a great time to answer all of them.
Let's start at the top. What inspired you to start your fitness journey?
That is a great question. My father, when I was 8 years old, he dropped me off at football practice, and that was the first time that I really got an idea of what training was like. I mean, back in the 1980s, early 1980s, I mean, football was a lot different than it is now. They were really, really tough on you. If you asked for water, they would tell you to take a lap. But I learned that I really enjoyed the training aspect of it, and how could I get better in training to make my performance better on the field. So started with football. My father, he was a great baseball player. He walked on to NYU and became a full scholarship catcher, and then got drafted. So he was extremely inspirational to me, and started my career. So I went from football, and then I tried every single sport. I wrestled, I played baseball, and then finally found my way in track and field by chance. I got injured wrestling. I injured my knee, and I was doing rehab on it, and I was running. They had me doing nice, easy running. The track and cross country coach saw me, and he said, "You got to come out for the team." I don't want to come out for the team. I like wrestling, and he said, "Just come out." And they took me out on a 7-mile run. I was a freshman, and I remember saying, or thinking to myself, this was the easiest thing in the world. Like, how many people just start from nothing, go run 7 miles and think that it's easy? So I thought, all right, this could be it. Then as I ran more and I started to lose more weight from running, I couldn't handle the hits in football anymore. It just hurt. And I remember going to a football camp over the summer and seeing some of these kids from all over the country just smashing each other. And I thought, you know what, this is it. And I ended up gravitating towards running, and then took off from there and earned a scholarship in distance running, and here I am today.
That's awesome. What keeps you motivated on days when you don't feel like working out?
You know, most people think that, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I want to do is exercise. And actually the first thing I want to do is have a cup of coffee, especially at my age. But I keep my goals in mind. If you have goals, it's real easy when you feel like you're not motivated to get out and do something. If I don't really have a goal and I go, you know what, I have to work out today, but if I don't work out, no big deal, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to be fine tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes. I didn't work out yesterday. I'm not going to do it again. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks have gone by, 3 weeks have gone by, a month's gone by. You can't figure out why you've gained weight, why you don't look the way that you want to, why your motivation all of a sudden goes the opposite direction. So for me, it beats the alternative. The alternative is to be sedentary, to not move, to probably still ache, to still get joint pains, and probably worse as you get older. So with 5 kids, I want to be around for them. I mean, at 52 years old, I have a 10-year-old daughter who's extremely active. I've got a 12-year-old son. I've got kids, from 21 to 24, so I've still got to be active. I don't want to be that dad that says, I'm too tired, or I'm too out of shape or out of breath to go on a bike ride with you, or run, or have a catch. So that motivates me. I want my kids to look up to me. I want to be a role model to them. I want to be a role model to other people. So for me, it's second nature. So yeah, there are days I wake up and I say, I don't want to do it, but I always end up getting it done. But if there is a day where I say, you know what, my body's really tired, I need to take a day off. I will do it. It's hard for me to do. I really haven't taken much time off in my career. I mean, ever since I started, and that's one of the things that's helped me get where I am today, the consistency. I talk about consistency all the time, and I don't think people really grasp what consistency really is. Consistency, it's got to be over time. It's kind of like a tree, and I always tell people about this. Your body is like a tree. You have growth rings every year. It gets a little bit stronger, until you go from a sapling to a big oak. It doesn't mean necessarily you have to be tall or big, but your body gets stronger. And if you don't do it consistently, then you know what happens.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that. I mean, one of the questions we got was if someone's just starting out, right? Like they are that seed that's been planted. They're not that tree that's been doing this for years. What's your encouragement? How do you get people to get motivated from the beginning?
I tell people that you've got to be in it for the long haul. This is not something that you just jump into and jump out of, and a lot of people do that. You want to be in it for the long haul. You want to look at it in terms of a long plane. A lot of people, when it comes to exercise, become short-sighted, and they only look at what's right in front of their nose, and they don't see what can happen down the road. So I tell people, be in it for the long run. You don't have to be as intense as I am. You don't have to work as hard, but do it consistently and be in it for the long run so that you'll reap the benefits later on.
Yeah, totally. This is a good one, I think, because you're a father, you run your own business. How do you balance fitness and life? That's a question that so many people are asking. They're trying to figure out how to do it all. And you're a great representation of that. What's your advice for someone?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Don't let anybody tell you that it's simple and that it's easy to balance life, because it's not. And I'm not perfect, and I don't always get it right with balance. Sometimes, I'm away from the kids for a while. I'm away from my wife. They want me there, and I've got work to do. But with exercise, almost like a business, try to put it into my schedule. That way, I know for sure that I've got this time now blocked off that I have to work out. And if I have it blocked off, there's less chance of me not being able to get it in. Now, I've gotten people that have messaged me and said, I work an 18-hour shift, a couple of times a week, and when I get home, I'm exhausted. I have no energy. What do I do? And that's a tough question. What do you do? Do you get up earlier? You hardly have any time to sleep. Do you do it when you get up, or do you wait till you get done? I always say, it's almost kind of like religion. You find it under a rock, wherever it is. I mean, you may have 15 minutes during your workday to knock out some push-ups, knock out some squats, whatever it may be. And most people usually will take a break during that time or not really even think about it. So if it's in your thought process, it makes it a lot easier to get it done. Balancing kids, you've got to make sure you've got time for your family. You have to make sure you have time for yourself. And if you don't have time to take care of yourself, you really have less ability to take care of other people. If I look at myself and I feel miserable every single day, right? I'm out of shape, tired, grumpy, I'm going to be able to give less to my family and less to the people around me. So you have to make sure that you take care of yourself first, and then you'll be able to take better care of other people after.
That's good. I remember one time we were doing a shoot just outside of Toronto, and you'd gotten to the hotel, and we had about 15-20 minutes before we had to be at the next location. And you just told the team, hey, I'm just going to go to the hotel gym and just knock out some push-ups. You said that exact same thing. And we were like looking at you like, this is what it takes, right? You hadn't worked out that day.
Right.
But you just wanted to put an additional 15 minutes in, and that's...
It's movement, yeah. And of course I got there and I was able to do a little bit more. The hotel gym was a little bit nicer than I expected. So yeah, I went with the idea, all right, I'm going to do a couple of push-ups. The next thing I know, there's a pull-up bar, and pull-ups are, of course, one of my favorite exercises. Pull-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, bench press, pull-ups. So yeah, it would have been very, very easy for me to go, you know what, I've had a hard day, I've had a long day, I traveled, I'm just going to go back to the hotel room and chill. Mm-hmm. But I went to that gym, we went out to eat, I woke up the next morning, I was still alive. I felt good, and I felt better that I got that in.
Yeah, I think you really do practice what you preach, and I saw that in that moment.
Yeah.
What's been the most challenging aspect of your fitness journey, right? 2 decades within the fitness industry. What's been the most challenging thing for you?
Actually, more than 3 decades. I am older
3
than I look.
decades.
Yeah, so
There you
yeah,
go.
I've been in the fitness industry for 32 years.
All right.
Long time, and it's been my career since day one, since I graduated from Wake Forest University. You know, my degrees in exercise and health science. So yeah, as soon as I got out of school, went right into training. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did get right into training, and I almost forgot the question. What was the question?
Most challenging aspect of
Okay.
this journey?
Most challenging. So back in 2005, I was probably in the best shape that I've been post-collegiately, post-professional career in racing. I was 175 pounds. Fantastic. I had stopped my endurance racing, and I was just concentrating on weight training, resistance training, and I really changed my physique. I didn't have all of that long endurance to waste my muscles away. I was able to just concentrate on building muscle. And I was on a bike ride because I still was riding a little bit, and I remember, I felt pain in my groin area, and I couldn't sit down on the seat. And I rode 25 miles up out of the saddle. Like, something's not right. I went into the doctor. They said, all right, you got a staph infection. We'll give you an antibiotic shot. We'll give you some antibiotic pills. You'll be fine. 6 months later, everything had cleared up, and this is a little strange, but I thought I had an ingrown toenail. I was doing a little running still, and I clipped the toenail, and pus shoots out. And I'm thinking to myself, I remember my ex-wife at the time, I said, you gotta see this. This is crazy. I don't even know what just came out of my foot. Didn't think anything of it. Then a month later, I started to have trouble breathing. I went into the doctor, and they said, you've got double pneumonia. I'm like, what? Got double pneumonia. That's strange because I wasn't around anybody that was sick. So 1 week later, I'm at my house, I'm reading books to my kids, and I take a step up the stairs, and I thought my knee exploded. I thought, oh my God. I was on the trampoline with the kids, but my knee just blew up. And I told my ex-wife, I said, I'm gonna have to have surgery. I just blew my knee out. She went to go work out. Next thing I know, I start to see the walls creep in. And I hit 911 on my phone. I'm out with seizures and convulsions. My wife comes home, I'm on the floor, and I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And they rush me to the hospital, and I get to the hospital, and they say, you've got a sprained knee and you're having a panic attack. And I'm like, I don't think so. I said, my pain level is above whatever your pain score is. I mean, it was 0 to 10. The nurses were getting mad at me because I said, I'm not a 10, I'm like a 20 or 30. So I go home. The next day I go to the orthopedist, and he says, you probably, just tore your meniscus. We'll flip it out of the joint, no problem. So he puts the needle in my knee, and he looks up at me, and he looks down at my knee, and he goes, have you been sick? I said, well, I just got diagnosed with pneumonia a month ago. He goes, we got to get you to the OR right now. He goes, you're about to die. And I thought, what? They rushed me to the OR. Turns out I had MRSA, which is methicillin-resistant staph. It had colonized in my knee and gotten to the point where it was starting to shut my organs down. I had no clue other than the excruciating pain. My knee wasn't swollen, but inside, this thing was coursing through my system. So they told my family to call my parents, to have them come down from New York to say goodbye. It's either going to be that or they're going to have to amputate my leg. At this point, I don't even know what's going on. I'm on heavy doses of morphine and everything else in the book. And at that point, I thought, all right, I'm just going to kind of submit here. Just submit. I mean, there's nothing else I can do. I'm just going to have to rely on the fitness that I built up, mental strength. I've got family I've got to live for. I spent a month up in the hospital, and I lost 40 pounds in the first 10 days. I had to have a second surgery to remove more. It had recolonized. So my knee was a mess. Then I had to have a PICC line inserted into my heart to get the antibiotics into my heart, so it didn't shut my heart down. And long story short, really long story short, I made it. When I came back to work, people thought that I had either contracted AIDS or cancer. I was walking the walker with tennis balls. I mean, I looked like I was about to die, and it just took forever for me, almost a year, to regain my weight and to regain the ability to use my leg. And the infection had then eaten away at a good portion of my knee, so I had to have my meniscus repaired 2 years after that, and I just persevered. I mean, I just kept going. I didn't let something like that completely stop me. I tried to work out as best I could. I I had no energy. I was still on a lot of medication. But that experience, it just made me think that there are a lot of people that are a lot worse off. And if I have the ability to get up every day, to take a step onto the floor and to walk and do something, then I need to take advantage of it, because you never know when they're going to take the rug and pull it out from underneath you. So that's my story with that.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I personally just know so many people who have had an injury that keeps them from training, but on social media you see, fitness influencers and everything looks like it's just moving smoothly and there's no issues, and that's a perfect example of you're going to face things and it's not always shown on the outside, but
I can't tell you how many videos that I've made where you fake it till you make it, where I have degenerative supporting condyle of my femur, it's bone on bone. So there are days where I can barely squat my own body weight. Other days I could squat almost 300 pounds. So I never know what's going to happen. I got articular tears in there, cartilage tears. I mean, it's just a mess from compensating from the other leg, the one that I had the MRSA in. So all of my weight was on this leg for years, and it took its toll. Wow. So, people come to me and they say, I can't work out today. I say, why? Well, my shoulder hurts. So you have legs, don't you? All right. You got another arm. You got abs. You got lower back. I think people oftentimes use injury as an excuse not to work out or not to want to work out. Yeah, I hurt my knee. I can't work out today. And that's fine. And it really depends on your goals and, what your motivation is. I talk about mindset a lot, and it's all about mindset. That's the way you look at things and the way you approach things. I was lucky to be wired like that. It's not always something that can be taught, but it's something that, over time can be learned. It's having a mindset to go out and do what you want to do and do it the best way that you can.
Yeah, that's a good segue. One of the questions that we got was, how do you recover? I mean, we're talking about injury, we're talking about your training load. Recovery is a hot topic right now. For you, what does that look like? Obviously you push yourself hard, but when you pull back, what does it look like?
I am so accustomed to being sore. I mean, I can be sore all the time. And for me, it's okay. I know that I've done something. But as far as recovery, key for me is taking in the right nutrition after you work out and making sure, of course, that you have the right nutrition before, but replenishing what was broken down. So if your muscle tissue is broken down, you're going to need protein, you're going to need carbohydrates, you're going to need fats. Taking those type of nutrients in, for me, helps me with recovery. I don't do cold plunges. I don't do any extreme. Saunas are nice every once in a while. But I mean, what I've found is that people are always searching for something. If you find something that works, stick with it. Are there things that may be better? Sure, and then you explore those things. But for me, at 52, in my brain, I still feel like I'm 20, right? That's what happens. The only time you don't feel your age is when you talk to someone who's about 20 or 25 years younger than you, and then you go, I guess I am a little bit older, right? So I'm okay with being sore. I try to stretch out, be as limber as I can. I try to go through mobility-wise, whatever exercise I'm going to have to perform. I want to make sure that I can be mobile enough to get into that position. But otherwise, I am very, very simple. Nutrition helps with it. Rest and recovery is important as well. But that doesn't mean taking a day completely off. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it requires movement. Most people, when they get really sore, they don't want to move, right? And they just want to sit. And when you sit, it gets a lot worse. Everybody has different types of soreness, delayed onset muscle soreness. We may both squat the same day. I might get sore that night. You might get sore 2 days from then. So everybody's a little bit different. Just read your body and understand being sore is okay, but just move.
Yeah, that's good. Find what works for you and do that consistently. Switching to more about training and your workout routine, what's the training methodology that you use to stay in peak shape at your age?
I've said this before. I like to be a jack of all trades. And that means being able to do different types of exercise, using different modalities, not just necessarily sticking with one. However, if one works for you, you stick with it. But for me, to be able to use dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, get my cardiovascular work in during my training sessions. And that actually goes back to, how do you balance life? Well, So if I wanted to weight train and then I knew, all right, I've got to go for a 45-minute run after because I need to get cardio in, I'm going to try to get that cardio in during my weight session, right? That way I don't have to do two things. And that may not be ideal for certain people's goals. It might be ideal for other people. But if you can combine it, get it done in one shot, it makes a huge difference. And that doesn't mean that you have to be at an extremely high heart rate the entire time. But I utilize a lot of multi-setting and supersetting. Sometimes when I'm looking at just pure growth, I will take one exercise and I'll stick with that, and I'll make sure I rest 2 to 3 minutes in between each set. But otherwise, you'll see me doing pull-ups. You'll see me then go over to a cable station and do flies, and then I'll go over and do biceps curls, dips, and move around. And that entire time, I'm trying not to get so out of breath that I neglect what I'm actually trying to train. So you have to be mindful, mentally aware of what you're doing and what your goal is when you are training.
Yeah, that's really good. I think the next question off the back of that, people are curious, just what are your top 5 exercises, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can only have 5 to train someone. Which ones are you using?
The first one I would say is controversial, just because it's an exercise that if you do improperly, you kill yourself. The deadlift. For me, when I was 40 years old, right? So I trained cycling as a professional duathlete. I mean, you're running, you're cycling, and then you're running again. So an Olympic distance race would be a 5K or sprint distance, 5K run, 40K bike, 5K run. And we're running these 5Ks at around 5 minutes a mile. So it's not like we're jogging these, and then you got to fly on the bike. So over the years, what happens if you're cycling and running a lot? Your hip flexors shorten up. Right? You're always down on the handlebars, running, lifting, hip flexors. So I had 2 discs that bulged in my lower back. You wouldn't know by looking because I'm still able to do a lot of stuff. But L5S1, right now, completely degenerated. I mean, I'm bone on bone down there. But how can I deadlift over 400 pounds effectively? The deadlift for me was the one exercise that allowed me to rehab my lower back. And I've done it ever since. I've never hurt my back doing a deadlift. I hurt my back cycling, but I've never hurt it lifting heavy weight deadlifting. My form is, meticulous. I don't use a weight belt. I rely on my entire core. And people ask me that a lot. How could you lift, 435 pounds without a belt? Well, I rely on my core. I want to feel it. If I'm using a belt, I really can't feel my core activating to lift the weight. And if my core fails, go right to my lower back, and I'm in big trouble. So deadlift, number 1, squat. Now, I've evolved over the years. I used to do a lot of unilateral reverse lunges. I could reverse lunge with 315 pounds on my back, knee to floor. I can't do that anymore with my knee. I wasn't able to squat back then because of my lower back. Everything is flipped. I can't do the reverse lunges with the heavy weight now, but I can squat. So the bottom line is you got to look at these exercises and go, all right, I can't do this today. I was able to do it a year ago, but I can do this now. And so it's constantly evolving. And you have to keep your eyes open and your mind open to see, all right, I can do this, I couldn't do that, and make sure that you evolve with it. Everyone knows I love biceps curls, right? I mean, who doesn't love a good biceps curl? And you get a lot of people today that'll say, well, it's a single joint exercise. It doesn't do anything for you. You just do this and do that. It works. I've shown videos where I'm doing biceps curl and my heart rate gets up to 170 and I'm squeezing. Your abs are working, your shoulders, and your shoulders are working during a biceps curl. So what? That's okay. My shoulders are going to get a little work. As long as it's not dangerous, I can build my shoulders at the same time. It's great. Of course, bench press. As I've gotten older, and bench press is probably my weakest area, so it's something I concentrate on the most. As I've gotten older, I've gravitated more towards dumbbell work. And it's funny, I've got a YouTube video that we just talked about the differences between barbells and dumbbells, but I like doing a lot of chest pressing, push-ups, and of course, triceps exercises, mainly done on the cable station. So I really like a mix of everything. Sometimes I'll use dumbbells, sometimes kettlebells, sometimes barbells, but jack of all trades.
That's really good. What's a weekly routine look like for you? I mean, people are curious. How often do you train? When do you train? Does it change?
I use what I call a variable split program. I train 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and I leave the weekends for time with the family. So that goes back to balance. I could take my days off during the week, when my kids are in school, or I could take my days off when my kids are at home. So I will typically break my workouts into 2 body parts a day. So it could be a chest back on a Monday, could be legs and light shoulders on a Tuesday, then back again and arms, triceps and biceps on a Wednesday, and then Thursday back to a chest workout. So it's variable. I do change up my exercises. I do multi-set a lot. So one day it could be a chest press followed by a chest fly, and then the next week it could be a chest fly followed by a chest press. So I mix everything up. I like to keep the body guessing, but at the same time let the body understand what it's about to do so that it can mobilize and get more strength out of it, and you get more benefit at the end of it.
People were curious, misconceptions in the fitness world with training, maybe even specifically. Any that come across to you that you're like, this is false?
Yeah, one I get all the time is the only thing I should do to lose weight is cardio. I should just run or I should just bike. Those are fine. I built my career on conditioning and endurance work. However, the type of conditioning work and endurance work that I did was far beyond what the average person is going to do going out on a run. A lot different. The way I explain it is if, for instance, you're overweight and you're shaped like a pear. If you run or you cycle or you do steady state cardio, you will be a smaller pear after you've lost weight. You're not going to change anything else as far as your shape. You're just going to become a smaller version of yourself. So if you're just looking to lose weight, it's great, and it's fantastic for overall health, cardiovascular health. I would never tell someone not to do cardio. However, one of the biggest misconceptions is that weight training will bulk you up, you won't lose weight, you won't lose fat, and it's quite the opposite. The more lean tissue you have, like me, the more able you will be to burn calories and burn fat at the end of the day. I'm more efficient than someone who's got a higher body fat percentage. So the resistance training has allowed me to build up enough muscle tissue so that my metabolism is high all the time. I can eat what I want. I don't choose to eat everything all of the time, but I do have the ability to eat what I want at my age, and everyone's looking at me going, well, how can you do that? Well, 40 years of consistent training and understanding what works and what doesn't works. So I would say the biggest misconception is that you should only do cardiovascular work, steady state cardiovascular work, in order to lose weight and change your body, but it is quite the opposite.
It's good. I think there's a good segue there to nutrition, because people are curious. Starting off with Transparent Labs, right? What supplements do you take regularly and why? And then maybe even just deeper than that, just nutrition in general.
Yeah, so I talked about this earlier, that I do consume a fair amount of supplements. I'm not a gigantic meat eater. I do eat it. I consume eggs, obviously, for protein sources. But for me, at almost 180 pounds, I typically require, and I tell most people, it's about it's about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if I weigh 180 pounds, I need about 180 grams of protein daily in order to meet my nutritional limits. So I've got to supplement with something. So I use the whey protein isolate from Transparent. It is not only great tasting, but it's healthy. And I've researched, and I talked about this earlier, I researched Transparent Labs for months before I actually decided that this was going to be the product for me. The whey protein isolate is my go-to. I'll have that before when I'm working. I put other things in it, sometimes berries. I do love berries. I'll put peanut butter in it, and I put it with water. And then after my workout, within a half an hour, I usually do a scoop to a scoop and a half with creatine HMB. And the creatine HMB that Transparent has is solid stuff. It's phenomenal stuff. I don't get any bloating. I don't get any side effects like cramping from it. And you have to make sure you drink a decent amount of water, which I don't always. But I would say, and then of course, my morning routine, the same every single morning. I don't really care for coffee, but when I put the chocolate collagen in, that's what makes it. So yeah, every morning, same routine. Coffee, chocolate collagen, boom. So they're my top 3. Now also, BCAAs are moderately controversial. Some people say they work, some people say they don't. You can take a look at a lot of different studies. I have been using the BCAAs before my workouts, and they seem to give me a decent amount of energy. So that's one that I've added to my program that I think really, really helps.
Same with training. Are there any misconceptions on the nutrition side of things that you come across and people believe that may be false?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people on social media. I think there's a guy, kale is BS, spinach is BS, broccoli is BS. I'm like, man, I've been eating these foods my entire life and I've done just fine. How is this BS? Everyone's a little different. So I'd say one of the biggest misconceptions is that diets work, because they don't. And I've been working with clients for over 30 years. Those that diet, yo-yo. They'll come to me, they'll say, guess what? I'm on the no sugar diet. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. How's it going for you? Oh, it's great. This is day one. I've got tons of energy. Everything feels great. Love it. A week later, how's everything going? Yeah, it's going all right. I'm like, how's it feel to, not have any sugar in your diet all day? Oh, it's pretty good. I'm still. 2 weeks later, this sucks. I'm not doing it anymore. And then they revert right back and they just haul it in. It's like they took a dump truck and opened their mouth and just can't take it anymore. So diets, I mean, I've had people come to me, you do paleo, right? You do keto, you do Neanderthal, you do whatever it is. And I'm like, no, man, I just eat intuitively. I think about what my body needs. And what I tell people, look at food and say, is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me? It's pretty simple, but very few people take the time to look at something and go, should I do this, should I not? I might look at a piece of cake if I'm at a wedding and look at that cake, go, you know what, is this worth it or is this not? Do I really want this? Sometimes I say, yeah, I have that piece of cake. Other times I go, no, it's just sitting in front of me, so I'm going to eat it? No, I'm not going to do that. Oh, there's some fruit over there. That looks pretty good. If I got a little bit of a sweet tooth, go grab that. Didn't do it for me, go back, grab the cake, whatever you want. But I don't follow any diets. I think following a diet becomes so restrictive that that's all you can think about. If someone tells you you can't eat food for a day, what's the only thing you can think about? Food. All day. Nothing else. So I don't tell people, you can't eat that, you can't drink that, don't eat this, don't eat that. You want to go out and have a beer? Have a beer. It's fine. You want to go out and have fried food, alcohol with it, whatever it is, have it. You might feel that you deserve it. And that's another thing, as far as people looking at something and go, I did something really good, so I deserve to have this. It's not really like that. It's not something that you deserve to have. It's something that you should choose to have. So cheat meals, things like that, I think that's another thing that people think is okay. And it may be for some people. But when someone comes to me and go, yeah, I just got on this diet where I can have a cheat day the entire day. I'm like, you can eat anything you want the entire day? Yeah, between this window and this window. I'm like, okay, do it. How's your weight loss goals going? Well, I put on 4 pounds. I'm not sure why. So anyway, it's hard to do, but intuitive, moderate eating without restrictions. There may be foods that you don't want to eat. Don't eat them. I mean, I call it the no-fly list for me. There are certain foods I just stay away from and don't eat. There's no reason to eat them if I don't want to. So just have fun, be moderate, and think about it.
Intuitive.
And a lot of people say, well, intuitive eating doesn't work. And that's because people that try intuitive eating and it doesn't work for them, they don't have the right mindset. Flat out, do not have the right mindset. If you really sat down and said, should I eat this, should I not? Most people can make an educated decision if it's going to be good or not. Most people don't necessarily educate themselves, or they don't want to educate themselves. And I've seen that quite a bit, where it's mindlessness, just eating whatever's in front of you, drinking whatever. I don't understand why, I haven't lost any weight. Well, how many Cokes did you have yesterday? Well, I had 7, but it was a hot day and I was really thirsty.
Yep.
Things like that. I hear it on a regular basis every day from real people.
So true. Final question before we open it up for you guys to give us some. But we've talked about training, we've talked about nutrition, supplements, some of your motivation behind, your routine. I think people are drawn to your longevity. You've really stayed in shape over the course of a few decades, and it's inspiring to people. If you could give one piece of advice for somebody who wants to have that same path, where it's not just a short-term goal, short-term gain, but they're really wanting a life full of health and wellness, what would be your advice for them? There
are 2 things, and there's a topic that's come up, over and over and over, and that's performance-enhancing drug use. I would tell people, and you'll see this, they're young kids, that look at me, and I'll get all sorts of crazy comments. You're on TRT, you're on steroids, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I tell them, you don't get to my age, look like I do, doing that kind of stuff. And I tell them it's a choice, but to me, I see it more and more and more in regular life. I'm not talking about people that are in sport. We know that drug use is rampant in sport. I don't think there's any area of sport in the world that has not been touched by performance-enhancing drug use at all. World records, everything. But I see a dangerous trend with kids and adults with performance-enhancing drugs. And when I say performance-enhancing, they may be trying to get bigger muscles, and they think, all right, I've got to do the steroids. He's doing the steroids, and they're pointing at me going, he's doing the steroids, he got his. And I'm going, guys, I don't do that kind of stuff. There's a reason I've gotten to this point without it. And most often with men especially, testosterone starts to decline as you get older. I didn't get mine tested until my mid-40s when I got on social media and everybody started accusing me of this and that. I had no idea what my testosterone was. People have to understand testosterone goes up and down all day long. It depends on when you do it, your sleep patterns, your eating. But I see kids and they say, I've got to do this, and they will not make it the long term. You'll see all these people on social media, the ones that say, oh, I don't take anything, or the ones that say that they do. They don't last long. You see these people dying. And, it's bothersome to me. I don't judge people. You do what you want. And, I would say one of the biggest things is stay in it for the long term, right? This is your life. And when you decide to resort to performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, that's a choice that you make, but it may be a choice that you regret. I know people that told me that they took it when they were younger, and now they've got all sorts of problems from it. And, I don't want my kids to get involved in it. I know other people that have. I know kids that were involved in it when I was in high school, and I see them now, and I'm like, what in the world? All sorts of health complications. And testosterone replacement therapy, it's a big thing. It's one of the biggest questions I get asked on a regular basis. My testosterone is very normal, very healthy. I was happy to, when I first got it measured, but I've seen it go low, I've seen it go high. When you exercise consistently long-term, especially for men, your testosterone levels will remain typically higher. If you go for long periods of time where you're not exercising, right? And you look at most people today, and we've really adopted a sedentary lifestyle. So of course, you look at people, their testosterone levels are going to be down, and they're going to have problems from it. And if you have issues from it, replace it. I don't have any issues from it, but leading a healthy lifestyle from the beginning, and it doesn't even have to be from the beginning. You can jump into it at any time and then stay very consistent. But I would say stay away from the drugs, do it the natural way, and just be healthy. Think about it long term. Don't just look at what's right in front of your nose.
So good. I think people love that. They need that too. Questions from anyone?
I have two questions. One is on nutrition. The one that I'm most intrigued about, going to the gym for a lot of people is this reset after a long day. And you talk about this lifestyle that you've clearly lived out, but at the same time, working out is your job. How do you balance that, and how do you still enjoy it after all these years? But it's like you can't go to the gym for the same reason that I can. How do you look at that, and how do you stay in love with this lifestyle?
That's a great question. Passion. It's like a hobby, right? For me, I've had a passion for it since I was a young boy. It's something that I get, some people get high from drugs. I get a high from working out. It's like brushing my teeth. And yes, I am fortunate enough to be in a profession where I'm at a gym all day long, right? I have no excuse not to work out. Now, it's kind of like, the person who works at the pizza place, eats a lot of pizza, and then all of a sudden he gets tired of it. He's like, man, I've been eating pizza all day. I work here all day. I just want to go home and I want to have a turkey sandwich. But for me, I still love it. I always think of the alternative, like what would I do if I wasn't working out, if I was at the gym? And, I've seen trainers, and they have a lot of clients, and they kind of get burnt out, and they're with people all day, and they're around equipment, and they're just like, you know what, I want to go home. This is my job. I don't really think about it as a job. It's a passion for me, and that's the difference. And I empathize and sympathize with people that have jobs that are extremely physical and they don't have energy and it's just tough for them. I absolutely. And, you just, like I said earlier, you do the best that you can with it. But I'm just fortunate enough to be wired with the passion for it. If they were to isolate a gene in my brain, it would be for physical work. And of course, with physical work comes mental work. The mental and the physical, they work together. I have to be in a good mental state of mind to get the most out of my workout. And if I'm not, and my mindset is off and I'm somewhere else, it doesn't work. And one of the things that for me, even if I'm working in the gym all day long and I've got now the hour, I can either go eat lunch or I can work out. I usually try to do both. My mind gets cleared when I work out. I don't have to think about anything else other than the physical nature of exercise. Nothing else. Doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of my life, if it's really bad or really not. I get in there laser focused. It's like having tunnel vision. And it just releases everything from me. And I feel great when I get done. Even if I had a bad workout. I got a workout this past week. I'm like, this is the worst workout I've ever had. So what? I still got it in. And it still contributes to everything else going forward. So yeah, I get that. That's a great question. But yes, it's passion.
You talked a little bit about researching Transparent Labs, but can you touch on that more? Are the products out there, are they so bad that the general public was just not aware of it? What's the catalyst for this healthier industry that we're starting to see?
I think obviously as we go along in time, people want to get healthier. What I see with the general population as far as supplements, they typically will gravitate towards the things that taste the best. The things that when they drink it and they think it's healthy, or they eat it and they think it's healthy, they want more of it. Sucralose, like I talked about earlier, sucralose, acesulfame, potassium, these artificial sweeteners are so sweet. They trigger parts of the brain that get triggered when you do cocaine or you do heroin. So when they're taking this artificial sweetener and all these neurons are firing in their brain going, this is great, this is fantastic. It's got no sugar, there are no calories in it, it's gonna make me healthy. They kind of will themselves into believing that this is a healthy thing for them. And as I said earlier, for me, the amount of supplements that I do consume, and I don't consume a wide variety of supplements. I have a specific type of supplement that I use. We talked about whey protein. I consume a lot of whey protein over the course of the day. So for me, intuitively, I look at that whey protein and go, do I want to take that many artificial sweeteners, flavors, colors into my body over and over and over? And this is something, when you look at lab testing and they test rats, they give these rats the same thing over and over and over. And eventually the rats either make it or they get real sick. So I look at it that way. People say, well, you've got to consume a lot of something for it to really have an impact. That may be true with one person and it may not be true with another. So I think now, when you get companies like Transparent Labs that said, we've got to put healthy ingredients into our products, and we've got to show people exactly how many milligrams, how many grams of these products are in there. I think it's a great step forward. And for people that really want to get healthy and who read nutrition labels, I'll look at everything. If I pick up something in the store, whether it's a supplement or it's food, I look at the label. What's in it? I had my daughter do it the other day. We were in the car wash and I had her look at a bag of potato chips that she wanted to eat. And I put the camera on her and she's got her face is all crinkled up and she couldn't pronounce half the stuff. So when I look at an ingredient list, like a Transparent Labs bottle, and there's 5 ingredients on there, 4 ingredients, whatever, well, this is great. When I look at another product and I see an ingredient list that's this long and I can't pronounce half the stuff, stay away. So yeah, I think worldwide, you look at the Europeans, they've adopted healthier standards. They have substances that are banned there that we still use here. And I think we've gotten a lot better, but I think we can do much better.
It's really good. Any other questions?
Yeah, when it comes to supplements, I know you talked about whey protein and everything else you take. Are there any take any vitamins or anything like that? Any fish oil or any vitamin D or anything you feel?
That's funny. I have taken vitamin D from time to time. Typically, when I go for my physical every year and they do my blood work, everything is in line. And with vitamin D, I didn't know this and I learned this as of late. It can increase your total testosterone level.
Yeah.
My total testosterone level is fairly towards the higher, I guess, range from my age. And I think they categorize into 35 to 65. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't touch your free testosterone. I have very, very low free testosterone. I mean, really low, at the bottom limit of, like, I'm not even sure how it works, but my body is utilizing that very, very small amount to keep me where I am. I'm not going to get any bigger. I'm at 52. I'm not going to all of a sudden start bulging up. If I gain some weight, and it may look, but no, I'm not going to be changing with that. So people also have to understand that. You get to a certain age, I still try to build muscle. I don't care if I can't, I still try to. And I still may be able to, but I can at least maintain what I have. Fish oils, I think, are fantastic for you. I don't personally consume them. I've consumed them in the past. I will from time to time. Multivitamin, I think, is a great safeguard. I use the Transparent Labs multivitamin. Here's the deal with multivitamins. You'll say, a lot of people say that Americans have the most expensive urine on the planet. And that's okay. I'd rather have the most expensive urine on the planet and be able to at least utilize some of that. If I'm lacking something in my diet or I'm lacking something in my blood, I'd rather at least try to supplement it with that. Of course, whole foods, real important to do, but if you take multivitamins and whole foods, I think you have a much, much better shot at achieving a healthier outcome.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Any part of this that you don't like from the business aspect, having to film content?
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah. So
anything in particular you don't like?
when I started social media, 2017 was about when I really got into it. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. I mean, from the time, I didn't even know what Facebook was until one of my clients told me what it was. I'm a pretty private person. I like to keep most of my stuff private, although now you look at all my stories, my kids are like, "Dad, turn the camera off." So yes, filming becomes a job. You don't always make a lot of money for what you do. Everyone thinks that influencing is my main job. It is not. I own a studio. I'm a full-time trainer. Sometimes for me, right, if I have to film all of these exercises and everything after my workout, you're looking at a lot of overuse injuries. I mean, sometimes I'm walking out going, God, I can't believe I had to do that again. I'm also a perfectionist when it comes to exercise. So I might do something 15, 16 times after I've already been done with my workout. And then all of a sudden, God, my shoulder's killing me. Well, yeah, I did a lot extra. So, for me, I remember in 2017, my wife looked at me, 2017, so what are we, 7 years ago? So I was about 45. My wife looked at me and she said, you're not getting any younger. You might as well take your shirt off while you still have your physique. And I thought, what in the world? She just said that to me, didn't she? I took my shirt off for one of the videos. I think I had a goatee, and it just took off from there, and it just went viral. This is before, Instagram started handcuffing everybody and changing their algorithm. This is when Instagram was free flowing, and I'm looking at this one video just blew up, then the next one blew up. I'm like, what in the world's going on here? So no, I never really enjoyed it. I don't mind it now. But it's become, we talked about passion of working out. This has become more, with filming, more of a job for me. But I like to learn. So I learn every day, whether it be, the guys from TL yesterday, my son came in to help me film some YouTube content. And my son is an aspiring videographer, creator, all that kind of stuff. And he was asking the guys here, what do I do with the lighting here? And I watched these guys show him exactly what to do with the lighting. I'm like, I never would have thought about that. Point the light away from you instead of at you. Put a lamp behind you. We're going to put a black sheet over this. And so I learn a lot. And I think learning and understanding how social media works and putting out content that I want to see myself, and I hope that other people would want to see as well. It's genuine content. It's transparent content. I don't show things that I don't do myself. So every exercise you see me do, I do it. It's in my program. There are some that are more creative than others. I'd say another area of social media that bugs me is when I look at fitness influencers doing all these crazy exercises, and I know that these don't work. I know they don't work. They're just for show. And you get other people that are going, wow, I got to do, and then they get hurt, of course. So yeah, I think stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, it's become a job.
I got one more too.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of what is the fitness industry now going towards more of that, or is it going to be a mixture of that?
It's going to be a mixture. There was a gigantic shift. Now, again, I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. I've seen all sorts of trends from P90X to Insanity to CrossFit. Things change. People get bored with traditional exercise. People get bored with the things that really, really work. I don't, and I'm lucky. And that's why, or one of the main reasons I'm able to be like I am today. I didn't go, all right, I'm stopping what I'm doing now because I got to do this, and this is going to be better for me. I stuck with what worked. Did I try other things? Sure. But as far as fitness trends, functional training is a misnomer. People listen to the word functional and they go, well, what exactly does functional mean? For me, a functional exercise would be an exercise that allows you to accomplish something in real life, right? So is taking a kettlebell and flipping it over my head something that I'm going to do in real life? Maybe, right? If, I'm a bartender and I've got to lift up a gigantic keg, put it all the way up here. A functional training movement for me is going to be an overhead shoulder press, right? For some people, an overhead shoulder press is catastrophic. Their shoulder mobility is not there, their strength is not there, rotator cuff, and they injure themselves. But if your job requires you to do something, you've got to be able to do it in your training. That, to me, is what functional training is. But otherwise, yeah, think about functional exercise as something that you do to enhance your life, if that makes sense. They're all great exercises. Functional exercise is fantastic. CrossFit is great for people. Any type of exercise, if it works for you, it's fantastic. And I tell people that. They're like, should I do this? Should I do that? I said, well, that's up to you. But stick with what works. Don't just bounce from one to the next before you see the results from that specific type of exercise. So if you're weight training, don't just bounce into something else before you've even gotten to the point where you're really seeing results. And that's what I see people, or where I see people make the biggest mistake. They stop before the progress is really made. And I look at fitness, and I've said this many times, as a journey up a mountain. And I've said this to my son, to my kids. Yeah, kids, you can start to climb that mountain, and you're real excited to climb that mountain. And you get, a little bit up, and you go, oh, I'm kind of tired. Slide back down the mountain. I'm recharged again, I'm ready, and you go up, and maybe you get a little further, maybe you get a little bit less. What it's hard for them to understand is when you get to the top of the mountain, and you're looking out, and the view is amazing, that's where it becomes the easiest. That's where I am. I've been looking out at this great view forever. I never let myself slide back down the mountain. And that doesn't mean that it could happen. I slid back down the mountain when I got sick. I climbed right back up. So looking at it in terms of climbing and climbing and climbing and achieving and achieving and achieving, getting to the top. Now, once you get to the top, and I've had a client do this one time. Guy needed to get under 190 pounds for health reasons. He started at 230. He gets to 189 pounds. Sends me a text from Florida. I got to 189 pounds on the scale today. Just had a whole bunch of hot dogs and drank some beer to celebrate my accomplishment. Next day, he's at 195 pounds. And so I thought, he rewarded himself for something that he didn't need to reward himself for. The reward was getting there. The reward was, I made it to 189 pounds and I did it. And now I'm going to go further, or I'm going to enjoy this for a little while. Or I'm going to enjoy it forever. So get to the top of the mountain where it becomes the easiest. Again, I'm at a point I don't have to worry about anything that I eat. I just choose to eat properly. If I know I'm not going to get a lot of exercise done in one day, like yesterday, I barely got anything. The day before, preparing for this, I've got other responsibilities. I got in as much as I could. I did fast bursts, but it wasn't up to my standards, right? Up to par with me. I had to then moderate my diet. I don't want to take in a bazillion calories or keep the same caloric number on the days that I don't expend as many calories. Otherwise, I'll gain weight. If I'm trying to gain weight, that's what I want to do. If I want to maintain weight, I've got to kind of figure out where that balance is. So when you don't get a lot of work in, you've got to adjust other aspects. Otherwise, the whole entire picture doesn't work. Get to the top of the mountain. It's the easiest place on the planet to be. Air is a little thinner, but it's a good breath.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for coming in person. And if you're watching online, thank you for watching today. Paul, that was the deep dive people wanted.
All right, good.
And it was great to hear from you.
All
Thanks,
right,
Ben.
glad to be here.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. It's a wrap.